John Douglas, touring guitar tech, Danzig and Misfits.
That's so dope. That's so crazy, bro.
It's insane.
What's up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome back to the Punk Rock Review podcast. Today I got with me John Douglas. He is a touring guitar tech with the freaking Misfits and Danzig. Like, it's kind of weird, man. Like, that's when I found out that's what you did, it legit blew my mind. I was like, he tours with who? And Justin told me, and I was like the real bands? Like,
the real band, yeah.
I was so surprised, dude. Like, okay, I want to know how you landed that gig. That's the first thing I want to know.
All right, so going back to 2018, I started becoming a guitar tech in 2016. First band I ever worked for, Sphere Factory. I worked for Suicide Silence, basically the older metal generation, and then like the Hot Topic generation. I was like, I've always ridden in the middle.
Okay.
So, even when I was not on tours, being based in SoCal, there's a lot of music scene going on. And one of my longtime friends, Davier Ortega Ferez, he's now the drummer of Devil Driver. He had a band called the Mirage Theory, and the Mirage Theory was a band that were from Puerto Rico. Okay. And they, as a band, said, we're going to move out of Puerto Rico and move to LA because we want to pursue our band. The whole band got a house. It was insane. So through the local music scene, I started, hanging out with Javier, meet him at shows, and like he saw I was a tech guy. I saw he was a tech guy. Like we both like saw what both of each other were doing in a good way. So I get a text from Javier one day saying, "Hey, I need a guitar tech, and I'm going on this tour with Prong." And he was tour managing and doing merch for Prong. And Prong's a 3-piece. So it's Tommy Victor, who's, the OG, the bass player, and then Art Cruz playing drums, who now Art Cruz plays in Lamb of God.
That's so crazy.
I go on this tour, and it's 8 shows. It's 2 weeks. I was like, sure, I'll go do it. No problem. And I was like, cool. We doing a van. We doing a bus. Now we're doing an RV, and RV touring I think is more, it's nice to walk around and have like a bathroom in the RV, but like everyone's just like compiled, and it was a brutal tour, but it was only 8 shows. So I do this tour, I bring all the gizmos and gadgets, all my tech stuff, and at the end of the tour, Tommy's like, "You're a great tech. Do you want to come work for Danzig?"
What?
Just
so
wait,
who said that to you?
Tommy Victor. So I did
from Prong.
From Prong, yes.
Okay.
Tommy from Prong, I had no idea plays in Danzig.
I didn't know that either.
Yes, and he's been the guy like pretty much for almost like 30 years now, like off and on, but like he's the main guy. Gets even crazier. So the iconic Danzig skull. I see it at school, kids wearing it shirts, yada, yada. Like, it's just one of those things you just can't, once you see it, you know what it is.
Right.
And the previous year, 2017, when I was working for Suicide Silence, Glenn Danzig had the Blackest of the Black Festival, which is his, like, it's basically his own fest. And he doesn't have them all the time. Sometimes they're touring, but this was just a stationary fest in here in SoCal at a venue called Oak Park or something, desolate, middle of nowhere, no cell service, great time. But it's all Glenn Danzig themed. So Suicidal Tendencies headlined one day, and Suicide Silence was on the Suicidal Day. So we played our set, did our show, and then we were supposed to fly to Mexico the next day, and our show got canceled the day before. Like, I was mentally ready, had all my stuff packed. Once we got done with the show, we were going to put everything in a U-Haul, go drive to LAX, get on a flight, and go fly down to Mexico City. We was like, cool, we're going to go do the show the next day. Show gets canceled. And I was like, well, okay, cool, word. So I text my tour manager at the time. I was like, hey, think I can get a pass to go to the second day of the Black Festival where Danzig's headlining. And I had never listened to Danzig music in my life. I mean,
Oh, really?
I don't know, not at all. I couldn't tell you a song.
Dude, that's awesome.
I didn't know who Glenn was. And it was just like, I'm going to go to this festival. So I had a friend of mine. We went on a date. I had all access passes for the festival. I was 23 years old.
That's
Live,
awesome.
laugh, love. I was like, cool, this is great. And I'm watching Danzig for the first time. Less than a year later, here I am working for him. So my first Danzig tour was 2018, and we did 8 shows. My first Danzig show working is the most insane show. I'll get to that story later. But it was also in Mexico, which is even funnier. But so I did Danzig tour in 2018. First show was a fly date, then we did 7 shows in the States, and then I didn't do a Danzig show until 2021. But I was brought back. Tommy called me. He goes, "Hey, want you to come back and work." I was like, "Cool, sick." And I'd already known the crew. I was a young kid, 24 years old is when I did my first Danzig tour.
That's pretty young for that.
Dude, super young. Like me realizing it now, being 30 and still being a young guy on crews. I mean, like now there's more younger people coming into the touring world. It's awesome to see. Like, I was that first generation or that next generation coming up and learning the ropes and all that stuff. But 2021 I started working for Danzig. I did a couple more shows with Danzig. And then I think 2022 we did a tour. And then 2023 we did a tour. Yeah, we did a couple tours back to back.
Okay. But like with Danzig?
With Danzig, right.
Okay.
Oh no, it was 2022. Right. Okay. So I can't remember exactly what it was. I'll have to go through my notes and figure out exactly what it was.
Dude, those dates get so jumbled up because the years fly by so fast.
Mm-hmm. So I was at rehearsal one day, where we do Danzig and Misfits rehearsals, and I'm casually just sitting in. Oh no! I know it was. Okay, so 2018 we did the tour. 2019 there was nothing going on with Danzig or Misfits. I started working for Misfits in 2022.
Okay.
So it's been coming up on 2 years. In 2020, the apocalypse hit us of COVID. And, like I was supposed to go on a whole trip around the world to go on tour. And, fell through because, the COVID. So I had an office job. And it was cool. It was music industry based. It was doing merchandising. Okay. My all-time favorite band that got me into heavy metal and rock, they did their merchandising there. So it was a treat.
Who is your all-time favorite band?
Demon Hunter.
Christian
heavy metal band out of Seattle. They've been around
Christian metal band?
Yep, Christian metal band. They've been around since 2001 they started. Got 11 records. Ask. Yeah, hit me.
Are you religious?
I am religious. Yeah. I don't go to church every Sunday.
How's that working for like Misfits and Danzig, and then having your favorite? That's wild.
It's wild.
You're just like, it is what it is. Like that's awesome.
I'm just here existing, and I'm just being put wherever I'm put in. And
that's rad.
I just roll with it. Like
that's
I was born religious. I mean, I got plenty of stories with religion, but but at the same time,
myself as well. Absolutely,
it's cool to be put in these situations. I'm just like, I'm just me. I'm just hanging out. Let's go.
Bro, that's awesome.
But Demon Hunter is the band that got me into heavy metal. I mean, I got a bunch of Demon Hunter stuff in here. That's
so rad though.
but so long story short, in 2020, I had my office job. I was packing merch and whatnot, and I was so over this office job. Like it was cool. Like Justin and Spades and Blades guys, they had Dead and Buried screen printing. I do screen printing with them there. I help catch shirts. I help pack stuff. I'm a part of the Spades and Blades and Havoc family. But but I get a text from a friend of mine, and he's like, "Hey, I need a guitar tech. It's July of 2020, and we're going to go do a show in Wisconsin. No shows are happening. Of course, I'm going to jump at the show. I get to put on my headlamp. I get to go hear loud music. I get to go get on an airplane. It is the apocalypse. Let's go.
Right.
So I go fly, and we did Static X and Dope at a festival in Wisconsin. Now, I had never got into Static X or Dope. I'd never really listened to, but it was, it was a show, and they gave me the pay I wanted, and then I was ready to go fight the apocalypse and go do a show because I just wanted to go do a show.
When you're doing the guitar tech work, you're not necessarily going to do all the bands that you listen to and the kind of music you like all the time. You might end up doing something for a pop band. Who knows? And
I have, and it's wild. Yeah. But at the same time, like I just I go wherever the gig takes me, and I love what I do, and it's a win-win.
That's so awesome.
So get this. So I go fly to Wisconsin. I go do this show, and we flew LA to Chicago, and then Chicago to Central Wisconsin Airport. I'm talking like 2 terminals, or like 2 gates, or like 4 gates, 1 terminal. Tiny little puddle jumper plane. And I sit in my seat. I'll never forget this. And this guy walks up to me. He's got like a blue highlight in his hair, and he's just like, he's a vibe, but he's happy. And I was like, "What's up, man?" And he sits next to me. It's AC Slade, my artist I now work for with the Misfits.
Whoa.
Yeah. I had no idea he played the Misfits. He was the bass player for Dope. And we start talking, we start hanging out. And it's like an hour flight from Chicago to middle of Wisconsin, because Wisconsin's just above.
Not super far.
And we do the gig, and gig goes great. And then we follow each other on Instagram, and that's pretty much it. But then 2 years later, I'm in Danzig rehearsals, getting ready to go do Danzig stuff, and I jokingly just said, "Hey Glenn, when am I going to come work for the Misfits?" Just like casually, when am I going to work for the Misfits? And I remember it was something like, "Sounds good. We'll get you on the crew. Yeah, no problem. Like we'll make it happen." And I was like, "Cool, let's go." Radio silence. Nothing.
Oh, I'm sure. That guy's got so much crap going on. He probably said that and forgot about it.
I planted the seed. I was like, "Hey,
that's smart."
Like, I want to shoot for
closed mouths don't get fed, bro.
Yeah, I wanted to shoot for the highest gig possible. I was like, "Let's do it." Didn't expect to hear anything. All of a sudden, I get a text. "Hey, AC needs a guitar tech for Misfits. Let's go."
That's so ridiculous.
The guy I sat on the plane next to, flying to a 2020 gig in Wisconsin. Yeah, I'll go tech for that guy, no problem. It was awesome. So that was 2022. My first show with Misfits was Riot Fest, and actually, I'll move the camera right fast.
Yeah,
Right here is my Misfits set list from Riot Fest. And I mean, normally I don't really get stuff signed by the bands and whatnot, but like, this was my first Misfits show. I went out to everyone.
Dude, I'm glad you got that signed. I'm glad
everyone signed it. I'll get it framed eventually someday. But like, what's crazy with Misfits is, I'm expecting this like, I mean, it's a massive band, but I'm expecting this like, I was, the littlest fish in the big pond kind of thing.
You're right.
Oh no, not at all. I did a tour, 42 shows, working for a massive metal band I grew up listening to. After that, I'll never forget, I woke up in Frankfurt, Germany, getting ready to fly home. I'm just like absolutely defeated. Not defeated, but just like ready to get home.
Tired.
Tired.
Ready to
get a text from one of my friends who plays in a even bigger metal band. He plays guitar, and he's like, "Bro, we're having the worst tour going through guitar techs right now. We've gone through 5 guitar techs in a 5-week tour.
That's a lot.
We don't have a guitar tech on Tuesday when we play local in Irvine. Are you available to come on tour for 6 shows?" And I was like, "Done. Let's go." Fly back.
Bro.
Did laundry. Hung out with my dog. Drove my own car to the gig. I mean, the band, took care of me. I already had a work box, but I'd already teched for this band before. So I did 6 shows. The band Falling Reverse is the band. Very.
Oh, what?
Yeah, yeah.
Bro,
I've talked
what?
for Falling Reverse since 2017, off and on.
Hold on, what? Dude, this thumbnail, yo, this thumbnail is gonna be so difficult to make because I gotta fit Misfits Skull, Danzig, Falling in Reverse. I gotta have your photo front and center. Well, I mean, you're the focal point, right? But I gotta put those logos in there somewhere. Like, you're not gonna believe this guy's story.
Build them up like Legos.
I'm so stoked for you that it's like making me happy, bro. Like, I'm so hyped right now.
There rules to hear.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I worked for Falling Reverse for this tour. Did the last 6 shows of the tour, and then from Nashville, we played the big auditorium there. It was a co-headliner with Papa Roach, and then I went to my hotel, slept, woke up like an hour and 10 minutes before my flight. Somehow got through security. I'm sweating, like going through security, holding all my tech stuff, getting ready to roll through.
Yeah,
get on the plane. Get on the plane as they're closing the gate. Fly to Newark, New Jersey. Get out of the terminal, and here's AC Slade picking me up in his hearse, and we're going to Misfits rehearsals.
That's so crazy.
I went from Europe tour to doing Falling Reverse tour, direct into Misfits rehearsals. So we go up to the big compound, Jerry Only's studio shop, and it was like walking into the Spades and Blades rehearsal room where there's posters on the walls, art. It's a heavy metal machine shop. He's got stuff going on, and like I'm walking into like the HQ, and I was like, I feel like I'm at Spades and Blades practice right now, but this is the Misfits. This is sick,
dude.
So we did a couple days of rehearsals. I got to know the guys. I got to, get to know the environment. And it was just like, I'm working for the biggest punk rock band to exist. And like, I feel so at home. I feel so welcome. I mean, I just take care of one guy. With AC, I got 6 guitars. They're all in the same tuning. And we just do a couple swaps, because when we can. And the rig is perfectly built. It's just I could fly in, have no rehearsal, know how to do the gig, fly home. It's
amazing.
Awesome.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah,
that's like
that's how I got plugged into the Misfits.
That shit is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I live down in Houston, or I live outside of Houston now, but I live down in outside of Houston, Northwest Houston, right? That whole story is so foreign to me because we just don't. That's just not a realistic story that I could like. I would never be able to tell that story being where I'm from. So it's really cool to hear that. That's just kind of like. So how'd you get into guitar tech work? Like what made you?
It gets even crazier. So we started like 2018 to 2022. Now we're gonna go backwards in history. I was in local bands throughout SoCal, playing music and whatnot.
Right.
Found my first band on Craigslist. I went from listening to like Rise Against, Seosin. Those were like kind of the bands I was like into growing up. And then I immediately I went from that kind of like alternative punk rock to like playing like Carnifex and Pantera overnight. And I was just like, what am I doing? This is fun. This is heavy. But so played a bunch of different bands, different styles, learned a lot about my craft, not teching, but like playing in a band, networking with people, etc. I mean, I started playing in bands at 17. Yeah. So, I had a band that I was into, or I was playing in, called Face the Throne, and it was a Christian metalcore band. And actually, it's probably one of my favorite bands I've ever played in. Ever. We put out a record. We wrote a second record that'll probably never see the light of day. We went from playing in a garage to headlining House of Blues in Anaheim, and like my whole family came out, and it was
awesome.
And so that was like my high school 21, 2021 band. No, I wasn't even 21 yet. I turned 21 when I was with Spades and Blades. Okay, so I'm out handing out flyers at a show, DIY promoting. And I meet Justin from Spades and Blades.
Okay.
And I had seen Spades and Blades before, headlined a couple shows. I was like, oh, this band's, they got it together. They're doing big shit. It's cool. And then all of a sudden, I think I was, yeah, I know. So I had a job at Starbucks of all places.
Well, that's
I
good.
loved it. I loved it. It was cool. But I left to go do my first tour while I was still working at Starbucks.
Okay.
First tour, that's a whole different story. The ultimate grind of a tour. Went from California to Florida and back, playing 12 shows. First tour, California to Florida and back, playing 12 shows. But it was 37 days of being on the road.
It's a long drive, dude, for your first tour.
Basically, we were homeless in Florida for 2 weeks while the other band we were on tour with was recording an EP. Oh, my Boy Scout survival skills came in handy. Let's just say that.
That's crazy.
But we got so in the process of promoting my old band, going on tour with a different band, and I get a DM on Instagram one day from Justin saying, "Hey, bro, we need a bass player for this tour. I wanted to offer it to you. Hit me up." And I was just like, who are these bands? I know Spades and Blades, but am I going to go on this tour? Okay. So I call them up and I was just like, all right, I'll do it. I'm down. And I was 20, let's see, that was 2015, early 2015. So I was 21 going on, no, 20. 21. Yeah, because I was born in 93.
So you're more of a metal guy than a punk guy?
More of a metal guy.
Cool.
I absolutely, one of my all-time favorite bands is Rise Against.
Let's go. It's a good band.
Yeah, love Rise Against. Love AFI.
Old AFI, sorry.
Old AFI is good. I like it all.
Oh, really? You like the new stuff? The newer stuff, huh?
Newer, yeah, mid 2000s.
Okay.
December Underground and I think it's Medicaid. I don't know. It's the record that came after it. Those were like high school bands. I was into.
Okay, yeah, I was already an adult when that stuff came out, and I did not care for it. But I understand why they gravitated towards that sound because they got. How long are they playing music? They got to do something, right?
100%. But I basically from Spades and Blades was in that band for a couple years, and then we get a tour to go on, or get an offer to go on tour of Fear Factory. And it was a buy-on tour, so we had, because we were an unsigned band, we had to come up with the money to put as the down payment to go on the tour.
Okay.
Which we were an unsigned band. We had to.
So what is that? So what is that? I've never heard of that before.
So basically, they will a headlining band that doesn't want to because when a band goes on tour, they can pick their support bands or their booking agency or their management will help pick support bands.
Yeah.
But some bands can say, hey, we got X amount of dollars. Well, let's throw down X amount of dollars and see if they're going to have us be on their tour. And some bands will even make a within the industry, they'll be like, hey, we want to find two bands that are gonna pay large sum of money. It depends.
Yeah.
It could be.
It's promoting and advertising essentially at the end of the day.
Exactly. But we basically some bands will try to find a band to be a buy on. Some bands will invite the bands to be on the tour. But we, through our connects of Spades and Blades, we were able to pitch. We were actually only going to do one show. We were going to route our own tour, and we were going to buy on to play one show with Fear Factory in Idaho, in Idaho Falls, out of all places. We had really good shows in Idaho Falls with Spades and Blades in the past, so we're like, yeah, we want to go open up a tour because we got fans there. Let's go do it. But then we kind of were just like, what if we just opened the whole tour and went on every show instead of just one show? And sure enough, they came back to us with a price tag. And it wasn't terribly out of reach. It was expensive. It was, but between the four of us in the band, Everyone in Spades and Blades had their own business at the time. Justin's got Dead and Buried, TJ's got his custom motorcycle shop, and then Jason from Havoc had like a photo booth company, and he had a couple other different things going on.
Okay.
So they all were able to pull together money. Me being 21, 22 years old, I had to get creative because the only real job I had was Starbucks and Guitar Center in the past.
Let's go.
And I had a bounce house job, which was really, really weird. I do not recommend.
Like setting them up at parties and stuff?
Oh, just drastic. Setting them up at parties. Hauling them, moving them around, cleaning them. Oh, just the stories from that alone is a podcast on itself.
Dude, the grunt work, that's straight grunt work, bro.
It was absolute grunt
rough.
work.
That's rough.
But so they all were able to pull together money to go and do this tour, and I had to figure out how to do money. I had to come up with money, but I was always resourceful. I was crafty.
Right.
So my friends in a band called Miss May from Ohio, they were like the first people in a touring band I really got to become friends with. And they were selling a bunch of custom shop orange brand guitar cabs.
Okay.
And it was a really good deal. And I was like, if I buy these cabs from Miss May, and they're going to deliver them to me. It's not like they were going to say, like, you know, put them on a pallet and ship them. They were like, this is the price, $1,200 delivered, which was outrageous because they go for $1,000 per, and they were going to give me 8 of them. I turned around, I flipped them. I was like, well, I got to flip some money and, you know, make it happen. I got to keep a couple in the end, but that was the way I got to pay for my portion.
If you get 8 of those for $1,200, that's crazy. If you get 8 of those for $1,200 and you flip a bunch, you get to keep some for free and still make your money. That's
exactly.
That's how I operate that same way with so many things in my life, dude. I'll buy records for my shop, and then I'll end up just buying enough to where I can sell those and keep mine for free. Like, I'm good with that. Like,
exactly. I've just started getting into the vinyl record world.
Oh man,
I still don't have a proper record player. I know I need to get one. My younger brother, has an incredible vinyl collection of like super, super old stuff. And I remember when he was like really diving into like building his record player set. I think he's got like almost like 20, 25 G's in records. It's insane.
And records I probably have. I'm not going to say a figure, but it's a lot. It's in that
a lot. Yeah.
It's in that same ballpark. But
his first job was a record store, so he was able to be like, I could get this for a cost or whatnot.
Yeah,
everything I would come in, he'd get first dibs.
That's the lick right there, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I have a small record shop. That's what I do.
Oh, sick.
On YouTube. Yeah, it's a little tiny thing, but it's mine. I carry Havoc stuff in there. Anything that's local punk stuff, any smaller band, bro. Anything I can do, I try to. So.
Well, next time I'm in Houston area, count me in. I'll come visit.
Bro, yeah, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. That'd be awesome. Yeah, you travel everywhere, I bet, huh?
Dude, it's actually crazy. I've been to 6 continents.
That's so nuts.
I've been to 6 continents, and I knocked off the two hardest ones to get to on my first tour. Well, let me get to that as we're going through the Spades and Blades genealogy right fast. So we go on tour. We pay the money. Everyone puts in their chips in the pot, and we start the van and drive. We totally blew a tire in our trailer. The first drive, like we're not even 2 hours from home. We're all sitting on the side of the road.
Oh, of course.
We just bought new tires, and like now we're screwed. But like we made it. Did that tour without getting paid at all. The only way, because a buy on tour, you're expected that you have the money to pay up front. You're expected to pay your way. But once we got to know Fear Factories,
so you didn't get anything from ticket sales. You didn't get anything from. Did you have merch?
We had merch. That was our saving grace, because Dead and Buried, Justin with the screen printing shop,
right,
he prints all of his merch. So we were able to, we were all able to help print the merch instead of having him hire labor or his workers in Dead and Buried.
Right.
So we got to print it for cost. And he already had the machines. He already had the stuff. It was
and they're good quality, man. You got good looking merch. Yeah.
Yeah. And And we went on tour and we had the most insane merch display. Like we had everything you could think of, every accessory, every style of t-shirt, because
That's awesome.
we were able to do that. And so once Fear Factory Camp saw our ambition, our hustle to get out there to promote Spades and Blades and do what we were doing, they're like, you guys don't have to pay a cut to the venue, because when you do a venue, the venue will sometimes take like 15-20%. It's merch cut fees that's a whole nother conversation of its own.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't play at a place that required a merch fee. That's crazy.
No, some of them are contracted in where the venue pays you, and it's a load of bogus.
Well, it's like okay, you can have some of my merch fee or some of my merch percentage.
Let me give you a bar percent.
As long as I get a bar percentage, which is crazy. They wouldn't want to do that because they're going to make a lot more money at the bar than you are on merch. I'll take that trade any day.
Exactly. And that's how Live Nation operates and all that jazz. And it's insane. However, tour manager of Fear Factory, who's a legend in himself, which was my first tour manager on the road.
Okay.
So we got to keep it. If we sold a shirt for $10 or $15, that shirt we would retain all the profit minus the cost of making the shirt.
Right.
So we were able to stay afloat. So we get through, I think it was 38 shows on this Fear Factory tour.
Go, bro.
It was hefty. We were playing big places. We were playing mid-sized clubs. It was anywhere between 800 and 2,000 cap rooms.
So how much merch did y'all take with you to be able to survive for that long?
Well, we would ship it out. So we would sell out. So if we would sell out something.
When you said y'all printed it all, I just assumed that you printed everything you took with you, but you'd have them make a little extra, or did you print extras and go, "Hey, send this to us"?
Exactly.
I heard. Okay, got you.
Yeah, we prepared to go on the tour. I think we got like 2 drop shipments or something, but like
that's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, I'm loving hearing this. This is cool, man.
We made enough as Spades and Blades to stay afloat, have enough gas, get a hotel, an occasional day off. But the thing was like there was a tour bus, but we had a van, and we modded the van where we had, which is still the Havoc van. It's still just
that's awesome, really.
Oh yeah, but like
cool.
There's a full bed in the back. There's a full size and a queen size, so we were able to sleep in there, save. We all take shifts driving. It was a real tour that we grinded, and we thrived.
It's super DIY, man.
Super DIY, but at the same time, it was a proper tour.
But I was just saying, to be on a tour with a band like Fear Factory, but doing all those things, you're learning from 2 different worlds simultaneously. You're double dipping on experience. I bet that's an invaluable lesson that you could never have paid for.
Absolutely.
Well, you know what?
Well, we did. Yeah. We did. So. Well, gets even crazier. So we're doing this tour, and we leave Las Vegas. We went, and the last couple shows was Las Vegas, San Diego, Arizona, like Mesa or Phoenix area. And then it was Vegas, San Diego, Arizona, Los Angeles. And the final show of Los Angeles was at Fonda Theater. So we do the Vegas show, and our van craps out. Like it was end of tour, van needed to relax. It was, needed some work, needed some love.
Yeah.
So we went through a collective of, I think it was about 4 gallons of oil in the van that night, because it was something with the oil leak or something. 4 gallons of oil to drive the 4.5-hour drive from Las Vegas to Orange County home.
Which I'll just like stop every like 30 minutes or something and like fill it up?
Roughly.
That's crazy. That's not transmission fluid. That'd be transmission fluid.
It was wild. Yeah, we had to put oil in it. There was an oil leak somewhere, and we hobbled home.
Not a car.
But we knew that we had a show that night in San Diego. So we got to the Dead and Buried HQ, which is like southeast of LA, like the border of Orange County and LA County. And we were home, but we got home at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. And I remember just waking up groggy. I'm so out of it because I had to get up out of my bed in the van that I've been sleeping in for the last 2 months or a month and a half. And we borrowed a friend's van. We hooked up the trailer, We drove down to San Diego because we had a show to play that night on tour. Because normally
this is the end of the Fear Factory tour.
Fear Factory tour. This is how I got into becoming a guitar tech, and it's actually this very day.
Okay.
So we drive down to San Diego. I was like, man, I'm home. I like familiar sights, familiar freeways. I've driven everywhere. I've seen everywhere. I'm a young kid, and we get down to the venue. It's a venue called Brick by Brick in San Diego. And Brick by Brick, it's a 90s punk rock venue, heavy metal venue. But it was owned by the guys from the band As It Lay Dying. And As It Lay Dying are very good friends, or some of the guys that we used to be in the band were very good friends with the Havoc guys and Spades and Blades guys. So it was like, cool. It was basically like a home show.
Those dudes stayed at my apartment a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, in Houston. Yeah.
Dang.
They played at I think it was either the Engine Room or Numbers, but they played at like a fairly big club.
Okay.
In Houston.
And this was like early 2000s?
Oh, dude, yeah. I was like, this is like maybe 03, 04.
Yeah.
Like, that one song they had? It's got the orange and red cover on that album.
Yep.
It's
Fair World's Collapse.
They were touring on that record, and it was like their first big record. And they were touring with another. I think they were touring. Don't quote me on this, but it might have been either like Bleeding Through or like Avenged Sevenfold. It was a very big tour. That
sounds about right for the style of bands. Yeah.
Somebody else already had put up the other band, and I was like hanging out, and I've been around for a long time. They're like, "Yeah, hey, you got a place in town? You have any extra room?" And I was like, I got a living room and it's very clean. And they were like, yeah. They're like, can the band crash? I was like, yeah, bro. And like after that, I started having bands all the time. Hey, Randall take you in, because we were if you stayed at my place, you could get to Highway 290, which could take you out of Houston really quick. So my house is really so you'd have to like travel a little bit away from the venue, but the next morning it was really easy to get out of Houston, which is dude, I'd rather drive at night, get to where I'm going to sleep, and then the morning be easy, because the mornings are hectic, man.
Absolutely. Everyone's all groggy, getting out. You're good. You're good.
That's my little claim to fame.
Yeah. So it's actually crazy. We talked about As It Lay Dying. That's another band I got to work for a couple years ago, and that was insane. Whole childhood bucket list. So
for real, bro, you live in a charmed life, man. That's amazing.
It's a wild one. So I wake up this morning, we switch vans, we hook up the trailer, we drive 100 miles down to San Diego, and it's post tour blues. I was like, I don't want this tour to end. What am I gonna do when I get home? I got like $150 in my bank account. Like, I'm like, live, laugh, love. I was a young kid. So we get in, we go do sound check, or get our stuff set up, and I'm sitting in the van, and just sitting in the passenger seat, just scrolling through my phone, and I get Dino Cazares from Fear Factory walks up to me. Mind you, this guy has seen me play every day for the last 7 weeks, 6 weeks,
right?
And he's like, "Hey,"
on an intimate level.
Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, you got a passport? You want to go to Australia and South Africa in 2 weeks and come guitar tech for me?" And I was just like, "What? Like, I can go get paid and go travel and do what I like doing? Yeah, sign me up." So he's like, all right, cool. That was it. That was the conversation.
That's awesome.
So we do the San Diego show, and I have this like fire lit under me. It was actually crazy. Well, the word I say is in the back of my head, the evil C word is content. I was content with my tour. I was content with my bass rig. I was ready to go back to my job at Starbucks. I was ready to give up touring. I was like, I made my goals. I'm done. I went across the nation. I played. I'm ready to go live life and go to college, and I'm content. And then 20 minutes later, Dino comes up to me and goes, "Want to go to Australia and South Africa?" I was just like, "Yeah, let's go."
That's insane.
So we did the Arizona show in this borrowed van that we had. And then the final day of tour, we're driving from Arizona to Fonda Theater in LA on Hollywood Boulevard, the Nines, the last show tour.
Okay.
And, I'm kind of excited to hear about, more info if I'm going to get this gig of going to Australia and South Africa. And, I already know if my passport's really valid. Like, I got to figure this out, like, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen. And I'll never forget, we drove. I was jamming music on my phone. We had like 9 people in the van because we brought a couple other friends and family for the last couple of shows. Somehow, all the music on my phone got a glitch and just stopped playing. Like there was no music to be found. So I was just doing this last 4-hour drive in silence. I was just
Whoa.
like, cool. Well, I mean, like it was like I'm with friends, having conversations. But I was just like, okay, cool.
If you were by yourself, that would suck.
No. It was all of us in the van. I was like, cool. Like I can't like listen to my favorite bands right now. Like, all right, word, this is cool. Like, so be it. But we do the show. My best friend at the time came out. My mom came out to the show. It was awesome. But we're getting all set up, ready to go. And right as we're about to hit stage, maybe like 15 minutes before, the Fonda Theater, it's an old school theater. There's the big theater, and then on either side of the backstage, there's like stairways that go down, like big stairways, and all the green rooms, the dressing rooms, are underneath the stage. No cell service, tiny little rooms. But it's a historic theater. So I'm getting ready to go do my show, do my warm-ups, the last show tour. My mom's there, great time. And I get the guitar tech who was working for Fear Factory on the tour. He's like, hey, JD, come over here. And it's me, guitar tech for Fear Factory.
Okay.
Because he was leaving to go do a different tour. And then Dino Cazares from Fear Factory and the band manager. And we're all sitting in this little tiny green room, the door's closed. And he's like, so you want to be a guitar tech, huh? Do you know how to guitar tech? And I was just like, yeah, like, I think maybe. Like, I'm like questioning myself, like, what's going on here? And, and they give me the offer of how much they want to pay me a week. And I was like, to me in my mind, it was just like, that's a lot of money. But like, it's decent for the amount of work.
Yeah.
And I was just like, all right. And then like Dino looks and the manager looks, he was like, you got a passport? And I was like, yeah, but I gotta check if it's still valid. He goes, okay. And it was all like a simultaneous unanimous like, cool, you're hired. You're going to Australia in 2 weeks. I was just like mind blown. I get up on stage, I go play the show, one of the most memorable shows I have ever played in my life. Man. And then after we got the Spades and Blades gear loaded, the guitar tech on the tour sold me his workbox. Let me grab this and show this to you because I have it right here.
Okay.
So it's loaded with stuff right now, but this little workbox that I have right here, the little briefcase style.
Okay.
This was the same workbox that was sold to me at that Fear Factory show, the final show of tour.
That's
from
cool.
The guitar tech who taught me how to guitar tech. That's still my workbox I take with me to this day.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
It's total full circle. Had to rush order my passport. I spent a quarter of what I made on the tour just to get my passport to go to Australia and South Africa.
Shoot, bro. Money ain't everything, man. Going to Australia is that's a big deal.
I've been 3 times now to Australia.
That's awesome.
I haven't been back to South Africa. I mean, maybe someday I'll go, who knows? But like the fact that I was 22 years old and got to go to all those places, and then from there, like it just like the cycle started. I worked for Fear Factory for a summer, started working for Suicide Silence. I worked for Hammerfall for a tour. Worked for Memphis May Fire. I worked for Memphis May Fire into Falling Reverse. No, Falling Reverse was first. It's just like the list of bands just goes on and on and on. And it was all because I took that leap of faith and chance. I was like, hey, like I'm gonna go on tour. Like, I was ready to go back to my job at Starbucks.
Right.
Live, laugh, love. And then here I am years later.
It's one of those things like the Buy On tour. It's like when you first heard of that, you were probably like, man, okay, what are the pros and cons to spending whatever dollar amount this is? Fear Factory is a pretty big band. There's a lot of pros, right? But you're like, man, is it worth the money? Yada, yada, yada. Dude, had you not done that buy-on tour, you literally
100%.
wouldn't be doing this at all.
Yeah, I literally wouldn't be sitting doing this interview with, the amount of stories and stuff I have to share.
So you owe the orange cabinets.
In theory,
yeah,
I mean, my friends in Miss May I that I befriended when I was 19. No, I was 17 years old. Oh my god. Yeah, I was 17. I was 2010 when I met them. Yeah, no, it's a full circle. But awesome. I always knew I wanted to get into the music world. I just didn't know where that entry gateway was. And it's not like you could just go in and hand in an application and be like, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I want to work for this band."
Well,
like
those opportunities aren't afforded to a lot of people outside of California. So
here and there, but I definitely agree.
My point isn't that you couldn't do it outside of California. It's just that it's going to be harder. As an example, you 100%. Said by 22 you'd been to Australia and stuff, right? Well, I'm 42, and last October was my first time leaving Texas. So
whoa, that's wild.
Yeah, so and I'm not.
I do love Texas. I do love Texas.
My only point is everybody's life. It's there's so much chance involved. You don't have I don't have control over where I was born, and I'm not. I'm probably the happiest person you'll meet in Texas. I love it. I love doing what I do. Everything that I do is rad. I get to talk to people like you. I'm having more fun talking to you, and this is my job, dude. At this point, I put in 40 hours a week on YouTube. I'm not. This isn't some little thing. Dang. I don't make it. I don't make enough money yet to live on. So I have to supplement it, but I can see it trending in that direction one day, and I'm working towards it. But my point is that your happiness is often in this first world country. It's a choice. Not all the time, of course. I mean, obviously, there's things that can get you in a spot where you didn't know way you're going to be happy. But oftentimes, you wake up, if you're a regular person in a regular life, you wake up every day, and it's your choice. You can either be in a good mood or be in a bad mood. And,
100%. Yeah. It's all perspective.
Yeah. And so that's amazing that had you not taken that, because I like universal, universe telling you to go this place and da 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 da. I like that kind of stuff.
100% how it was. If I didn't meet Justin from Spades and Blades, if I didn't go on that tour,
crazy.
Yeah, if I didn't go on that tour, if I didn't get offered to go on tour with Fear Factory, I could have said, "No, I'm good. I want to stay home." And I like having my In-N-Out burger down the street and the beach 20 minutes away. You're like, no, but I took that chance. I rush ordered my passport, and before you know it, I'm working for bands that I grew up listening to. I mean, the two longest running bands I've worked for now is Suicide Silence of 5.5 years, and I'm just about to hit. Actually, no, I think I'm actually at 5.5 years right now with Danzig. So the same period I worked for Suicide Silence, I've worked for Danzig, and Suicide Silence was that band I grew up listening to, and they approached me at a Fear Factory show in Canada. And they're like, "Hey, we saw you guitar teching, and we need a guitar tech." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know your band. I live 45 minutes away from you down the road." And I was hired. And I got to go work for Suicide Silence. And, I got to really bond with those guys. And, over time, I started working for bigger and bigger bands. And, I still see those guys every now and then. But they were a big growing factor of me learning how to be a guitar tech.
That's awesome.
And then, but so right now, my main 4 bands I work for, I mean, it depends. On Wednesday, I'm leaving to go do a week of shows with a band called the Amity Affliction, just for a couple shows, just to fill in for their guitar tech. But the 4 core bands I work for is Misfits Danzig, same singer in both, Cold Chamber, and Devil Driver, same singer in both. So,
that is the same singer, huh?
Yep. So both of those bands don't really have a whole lot of conflict as far as scheduling. So
that's cool.
So my
man, that's incredible.
It's insane. So getting through the COVID apocalypse of
I bet that was so scary.
Oh, it was insane. It was insane. Like I wasn't scared of COVID. I was more scared
No,
of
losing your career.
yeah, losing my job that I worked for. I was on the grind to go do, doing what I enjoyed loving doing with guitar teching and being behind the scenes. But
Right, right,
that
right, right.
that instant I got a gig offer. I mean, I think in 2020 I average about 100 to 120 shows a year, ballpark. It's slowing down a little bit right now, which is fine because Misfits and Danzig don't tour all throughout the year. It's
Right.
very just sporadic. A couple shows here and
Well, they're
whatnot.
not like 30-year-old men anymore. They're a little up there.
Exactly. But I think in 2020 I did a collective of like 7 shows for the whole year. So I just sprung on a chance of like, yes, I'm going to go on tour.
Right.
I'm going to go do a show. And that one show I did in 2020, me getting to sit next to AC on a plane, like that's my guy from Misfits now. That's my bro. Like it's so sick.
You've had
So
some really cool, like little butterfly effect moments where like this little chance thing really
uh-huh.
changed the course of the
Oh,
direction of your life, and then
a
bing, you'll
hun-
go this way, this way.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
And
I don't even
I
like really know you, and I'm like so stoked for you. It's unbelievable. Like your life rules, and I'm happy for you. I can tell you
hell
that. That's
yeah.
awesome. That's
Dude,
freaking awesome.
I'm stoked. We're friends now. We get to hang out. So
Let's go.
yeah, let's
Let's
go.
go.
Yeah.
Bro, if you're
But
in town, man, I don't drink. I don't know if you drink, but I don't drink. But
I very rarely like when I'm in show mode, like so basically
right, you got to be on top of your game, man.
yeah, people say you're a guitar tech. What do you do? And I was like, well, I don't just change strings. I don't just set up gear. I'm not just loading in, loading out.
Depends on the kind of
I'm
band you're working with. You could be doing a lot.
and there are some bands where I have done way more than the bargain asking for. I had a band I worked for. I did an entire year of touring with them in 2019, and my guitar player um, always had to have whiskey on stage, no matter what. Any club, there always had to be Jameson neat. That was just the thing, and I'm I'm there to instill confidence, whether if my artist
Right.
needs that thing just to have there, or like some guys like having chewing gum. Hey, I need a piece of gum at any time. Cool. Dentine ice, ready to go. Some guys,
shout
like
out to Dentine Ice, bro. Let's go.
let's
Shout
go.
out dude, I had this disgusting can here that I chew gum and spit it into. I take medication that tastes terrible, so I chew a lot of gum. And
Okay.
that was just funny because Dentine Ice is the only gum
Yeah.
that I'll chew. Like I literally won't chew a different
Yep.
gum.
Yep. And I got
Awesome.
a pack of Dentine ice in the tech drawer. You never know.
Right.
But being a guitar tech isn't just changing strings and maintaining the gear. It's part of that, but it's also instilling confidence for your artist. If my guy needs certain thing to have on stage at any moment's notice, I mean, I know some guys that need inhalers. I know some guys that have like
good point.
The Ricola cough drops or like the vocal spray. I mean, I got guys that want 10 bottles of water, and I got some guys that don't want any water. It really just depends. You're learning what your artist needs. So when they're waking up in the morning, preparing to play a show, coming to sound check, all they have to worry about is playing. I'm worrying about their maintenance of the gear, the things they need to play.
Yeah.
If we're swapping guitars for different tunings. But also another thing too, that's actually kind of a underlying belt. It's not really like it's not like I went to school for it or got training for it, but it's also part security. It's protecting the gear, making sure that nothing's gonna happen to it, and then during show, if something goes on, like I'm practically a last line of defense bodyguard, like in my world, because I'm protecting my gear, I'm protecting the side of the stage where I'm on, and I've had times where people run up on stage. I've had people, like they'll stage dive and they'll stay a little too long. And I have to like grab them off.
Right.
I mean, my ultimate nightmare fuel is having anything that's like a Dimebag Daryl situation.
Oh, bro.
And that's it's a real common reality that I have to be in because I'm in a loud environment. I don't know. I mean, like there are venue security if you're going to go through the Gen Pop, Yes,
Right.
you go through a metal detector, certain lists of prohibited items, but backstage, I got my world, I got my tools. Like I'll never forget, I did a show once, and the house staff were like going through. They're like, "Oh, like you can't have this, you can't have this." I was like, "Yeah, you gonna take my crescent wrench? You gonna take my hammer? You gonna take my tools? Like, that's a weapon." And I just like, but they let me through with all my stuff. It was fine. But I've had some shows. Actually, come to think about it, the very last Danzig show I just did in September of 2020. Or no, not 2020. God no, September 23. Which I have the poster, this like fluorescent poster, heading up here.
That's awesome.
I had a guy run up on stage. I had two guys run up on stage. One of the guys, got tackled by security and then escorted off. But in the commotion, they didn't see that there was two people trying to get on stage. And mind you, this is not a small club stage. This is a arena that seats 11,000 people. The stage is 8 feet high. It is stairs.
Right.
It is the whole 9 yards. So I had this
Yeah,
other
it's not
dude.
a simple like stage dive type of stage. You're gonna get
It's
hurt jumping off this thing.
exactly. And I had this dude run up on stage, and in my guitar world, I keep a cattle prod because you never know. And I full on gladiator this guy in an arena in full of 11,000 people. I mean, I'm sure there's a video of it somewhere. Not that I need to, go look and find it. But at the same
That's
time,
hilarious.
it was like, dude, like I don't want this guy affecting my artists or affecting, my show. And the band didn't stop without a beat. They just kept going. As if they didn't even know.
Wait, did they see him come up on there?
No.
Oh, that's awesome.
Glenn didn't even know he was there.
Affect him, but you were able to stop him before he caused any kind of problem.
Well, a couple other guys. Yeah, it was wild. So, but then there was one time last summer, where we had some guests of the band that were on the side of the stage, and some people know the stage etiquette. Like don't get in the way of the touring crew. Well,
there is stage etiquette for sure, especially in a big place like that with a big show.
Yeah, and there was this woman that was wearing a very short skirt and wearing high heels and was very intoxicated, and she thought that she had to be the star of the show, and she just blitzed out on stage and ended up running across the entire stage.
Oh,
but
wow.
That was the only time I actually froze, where I was just like I could I'm 6'2", almost 300 pounds. I'm a big dude, and I know if I go out there and football tackle this chick, it's gonna end up it's gonna end up on the internet, and I'm not gonna be stoked on it. And
dude, the internet sucks sometimes, doesn't it?
It really does. But I was like, on my radio, my tour manager's like, "What the fuck is going on? Who is that? Why?" And I was just like, dude, I don't want to go do this. But sure enough, we were able to kick him out, and it was fine. But that was the only time where if it's someone trying to, incite violence or something, I will just absolutely throw down. Let's go. But it was
Aaron Michelo's here. She needs attention.
Oh, man.
That's who it was, right? No, I'm kidding.
No, that's not who it was. So
I'm totally kidding.
That was a whole different story. Speaking of the Aaron girl, I've only met her once. And I
should have said her name, bro. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. But I met her once at a show. She was just there doing her thing. I was like, cool. Followed me on Instagram. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I heard about her getting assaulted and jumped and stuff.
Bro,
I was like, it's so shitty that happened. But at the same time, don't be going crying wolf if you're instigating it or something. I mean, I don't know exactly what happened.
It's a bunch of nonsense, man. I tell you what, man. I'm not even from there, bro, and I got dragged into this kind of, and it's whatever. I don't really care. That situation needed to be talked about anyways, because honestly, that shouldn't be happening to anybody. However I feel about her is completely irrelevant. She shouldn't be confronted in a bathroom somewhere. But I also have my opinions on her and why that might have happened, right? So okay. But I've been told, like, literally, like, I want to say, I don't know if hundreds is the right word, but like dozens and dozens and dozens of people have reached out to me and told me stories that I've seen so many common things from different parts of the entire state of California and parts of Texas that there's no way that it's all just a bunch of lies, bro. So I've just kind of been like, dude, this is crazy. And like, I had a personal friend of mine who I've known for 25 years tell me some stuff, and I was like, what? And it was like, I'm not gonna go into details because it just doesn't need to be talked about. But it's wild, bro. So no, when you said that though, when you said like this intoxicated person in a short skirt was like jumping on stage, and my first thought was her.
Right. No, it was no, bro, that was
messed up, dude. I'm so sorry. Anybody out there friends with her, dude? I'm sorry, man.
It was an Arizona show, and I'll never forget it because that tour was Cold Chamber supporting Mudvayne. And it was a great tour. I mean, like, Cold Chamber had a great tour. I'm not really sure about the rest of the tour, but I had a good tour. Also because
that's what matters, dude.
But also because the attendance was not very good. It's okay, but like we had a show. We did our show. We showed up.
What year was that?
Last year. Last summer.
Year?
Yeah,
man, dude, in 2023, things were still kind of jacked, dude. Like,
it was still
quite back. Like, this summer is going to be really what we're going to see. Like, what's it like to be pre-2020 again this year? This is the first year where I think we're going to be back 100%. To being.
And I knew when March of 2020 hit. I knew that in my head, everyone's like, 3 weeks, we'll be back to shows, no problem. I was like, yo. This is going to take 2 to 3 years minimum. Like, I'm going to go get a different job. I'm going to go figure out life and whatnot. And thankfully, I was back to doing moderate touring early 2022, I think. I was back to touring. I did a tour in 2021. It was just an absolute shit show of a tour because it was like the COVID list of rules was this long.
Bro,
attached to every road case.
Check this shit out.
Yeah, hit me.
No, sorry. Finish your thought.
Oh, it was just like I still have a photo in my phone of the COVID list of rules printed in font this big of like, you can't do this, you can't do this. Like, I'm on tour, but I literally feel like I'm in prison. Like, and I ended up getting fired from that tour, and it was the worst. It was the worst tour manager in the world. I couldn't even ask for a glass of water.
Dude, spill the beans. Who was that? What tour was it?
I don't want to say. No, because
terrible podcast etiquette. I shouldn't have asked you that. Who did that?
My artist who I teched for had the absolute biggest heart of gold. And I was awesome.
No, dude, no, that was a stupid question. I don't know why.
But the tour manager. The tour manager, I couldn't even ask for a glass of water.
That's crazy.
Like, pins and needles. Yeah,
in all fairness, man, the tour manager and the bands, that's two completely different entities, man. Like, you can work with the band, and it has, like, the manager could suck balls, and it has nothing to do with the people you're working for. So, like,
100%.
Like, I don't want people to think that I'm so naive that I wouldn't know that.
Right.
Just check this shit out. So, in 2020, so in March of 2020, I was 38.
Okay.
And I had just turned 38. My birthday's in March. So February, on Valentine's Day, I found out we were having a baby.
Oh,
and so I was sky high. It's my third kid. It's our last one. I was super pumped because I wanted another kid. And then my birthday happens, and during this, I am 2.5 years into a 5-year lease at a comic book shop that I owned.
Okay.
We're in the black. We're making money. Nothing's easy, but we're doing okay.
Yeah, you're on the grind, 100%.
Yeah. Got a kid coming, my birthday, and then like a week and a half after my birthday, like late into March.
Yeah.
I get a call from the comptroller, like, hey, you guys you can't have people in your store. And I'm like, yeah, but like, can I do like walk-up service? They're like, no. And I'm like, nothing. I can't like leave a bag on the outside, and they come up and their money's paid digitally, and they grab their bag and they're like, no. I'm like, that's crazy, bro. So I went from being like on like cloud 9 to like the most depressed I've ever been in my life. My store closed, bro, and like, no, dude, like it went gone. Now, in all fairness, if I hadn't had that happen, I wouldn't be here because I started YouTube out of boredom and COVID, right?
Right.
So whatever. But yeah, I remember COVID just being so like, what? And then you said that you knew it wasn't going to be like a few weeks. I did too, because they were like, you can't have anybody in your store for 30 days. And I was like, well, that right there is a whole month. And I was like,
supposed to pay rent? Exactly.
Dude, when I called the landlord, I told him, I said, I can't have people in my store. What's the deal? They're like, what do you mean?
Right.
And then I was like, well, how do I, I can't pay rent. And they were like, can't you sell it online? I'm like, no, I can't. That's not how this works. I can't just switch to being in an online store in 2 days. Like, that's not
right. It was takes crazy, time. Bro.
It was crazy, but
go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say my COVID story was COVID hit, ready for the apocalypse. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna shelter in place. I'm gonna hang out at home. And I still had some stuff at the Spades and Blades HQ, but like I brought home stuff to write music. I brought home guitars. I brought, I brought my stuff home. And the whole 3 weeks of sheltering in place, yada yada, I went through everything. I went through all my clothes. I went through my I went through my room. Did a bunch of stuff around the house. And the final thing I was tackling was my files. Paperwork, whatever.
Sorry.
You're good. I got all my paperwork going through. And I opened up this letter that's dated January. I don't know why. I just didn't open it.
Because, mail.
Yeah, mail. I was like, all right. So I opened up this letter, and it's from the DMV of California saying, you've been a bad boy, and you can't drive your car from March of 2020 to September of 2020.
That's probably the best time.
I was like, cool. So now my job is gone. I'm stuck at home, and now I can't have a car? Like, I didn't leave a 10-mile square radius except for going to Wisconsin for the one trip in over 6 months. It was, from going everywhere in the world to being stuck in, like, my little landmass. It was insane.
That's a pretty significant shift in, like, lifestyle.
Super significant. But before I was into music, early in the first half of high school, I was big into cycling. I wanted to do Race Across America, Tour de France. I wanted to wear the skinny suit and the skinny tires and go really fast and really long. And I was good at cycling. I would do, in high school, I was doing about 100 to 150 miles a week during school. Like, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go for a ride, go to class. Actually, I was homeschooled, so I would do my work at home. For the majority of high school, at least, I was homeschooled. So much easier to wake up at 9, have my work done by 11, and then go live the rest of my day. So worth it. But I was big into cycling, and I was like, well, if I can't drive my car, I'll sell my car, and I'll ride my bike. And I was able to survive 6 months of no car in California. It would take me the same amount of time to ride my bike to my office job doing the merch stuff as it would to drive my car in the morning. It was like 7 miles. I would just haul there, go do my stuff. But
I living in Houston is kind of like you have to have a car.
Oh, 100%.
Well.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a car till I was like already had a kid. I was in my 30s before I had a car.
Whoa.
I had a car when I was like 18. I bought a car, but once it died on me, I never really had the money to get another car. And so for most of my life, I rode the bus and I rode a bike. I used to ride like a fixed gear street bike.
Yep.
And so when I met my wife, I was driving completely across the city of Houston to go to work, and I would be a butcher, and then I would ride all the way back home at night. And I lived in like a slum, bro. I lived in the hood, dude. It was crazy, man. Like looking back on it, I'm like, how did I even feel comfortable sleeping there? Like I don't. Like, it was wild, man. I got a couple more questions if you got some more time.
Yeah, totally. Let's do it,
dude. So okay, what do you prefer?
Okay.
Out of touring with a band as a musician or guitar teching? Because I feel like guitar tech might be a little more pay and honestly a little less stress. Is that accurate or no? No. With the band, you're so concerned about like the crowd and this and that, but you got plenty of stress with a guitar tech job. I can only imagine.
Plenty of stress with a guitar tech job.
Okay.
It's more. I've never. There's some people that have so much stress they can't get out of bed in the morning, and I've been there. But like for me, when I'm in the element zone of guitar teching, I'm in my element. I'm not worried. I mean,
Yeah.
like I have my stresses, like, but the thing is in growing up, I was a Boy Scout, and I graduated as an Eagle Scout. And
Did
the
you
Scout
really? You
motto,
made an Eagle Scout?
legit made Eagle Scout. Actually,
Bro.
as I got my wallet chain right next to me, the one thing I do keep in my wallet always is my Eagle Scout card.
Dude, I'm so glad I met you, bro. I hope I get a little of your juju from this video, man, because I was a Boy Scout, but I got kicked out of Boy Scouts because
what happened?
So we had this like snotty kid that was a part of our troop, and I was really poor growing up. So we didn't have a car as a family. I had to ride with my scoutmaster to our meetings. He lived across this neighborhood from me. I could walk to his house in like 5 minutes. And so, like, dude, he was really cool, man. Shout out Mr. Primrose. That guy was awesome.
Hell yeah, Mr. Primrose.
Yeah, bro. And he, I was a troubled kid, but he could tell I had potential. And so me and my brother were in it together, and there was this kid named David.
Okay.
And he was a little shit, bro. He was a little spoiled little brat, dude.
Ugh,
and
the worst.
he would pick him up. My brother was always more into like he's more popular, right? Right now he's a DJ on our radio station in Houston. He's more popular than I. Yeah, I'm like I'm more of like a punk rocker, kind of by myself, do my own thing, kind of dude.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, but I was like, when shit would go down,
right?
I was the guy that took care of brother,
right?
And so this kid David's like, I don't know what his deal was, bro. He would just pick on him all the time. And I remember I was coming out of this, like we would go to our meetings in a church, and they had this parking lot, and out in the parking lot they had these like big, like, I don't know what they were, dude. They were like these big rectangle things where bushes would be, but instead of just having like a bush or a tree, it was like these weird thorn bushes, and it went all the way. It went like all the way around.
Oh, it was like a hedge.
It was awful, bro. But it was like in the middle of the parking lot. It was so strange, but it was like super sharp. Like you didn't want to like we would always be like, if you and your buddies were horsing around, the whole thing was just like push your friend into one. But like it hurt, bro.
Pain,
yeah. And so that kid David, I'm like walking out of the building, and I remember walking down this like little like ramp. You know what I'm saying? And I can see to my left my brother and this kid, like group of kids talking. And that kid, I don't remember if he shoved him down or if he punched him. I think he punched him in the stomach. He punched my brother. And I was like, yo, do that to me. Because I was like kind of a little dirty little ghetto kid.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo, do that to me, bro. And he was like, what? And he's like, his shirt's tucked in and shit. And I just ran over, dude. And I went to go punch him, and he did like this. And so I just went boom, and I shoved him, and he went like off his feet into that bush. But he was crying, bro. We were like 12, bro. What are you crying for, man?
I
cried like a little baby.
Started scouting in 12, right?
And like I was in Cub Scouts, bro. I was in that for like same troop for years and years and years. And
same.
Dude, they were like, nope. Because I think I had gotten in trouble for like smoking at summer camp and like stuff like that. So like, they were
it was like one little misdemeanor, and then this is the final strike.
Yeah, bro. So I got the boot, bro. But whatever though. I still to this day like have some skills that I learned in Boy Scouts. So I'm like, nah. I still carry knives. Like I gave my son a knife. I'm like, nah. You need to know how to have.
I got my pocket knife. I carry on me every day.
I just got back from the swimming pool with my kids. Mine's probably in my tray where my car keys are at. But like, yeah, if I leave the house, it goes with me. Bro. I don't care what I'm wearing, bro.
100%.
That's cool. Dude, Eagle Scout. People don't understand how hard that had to have been for you.
It was insane.
Dude,
it was like in a good way. Like the thing is like it's such a monumental project to conquer before your 18th birthday. And for me,
to get a kid to settle down and do that.
I mean, there was a couple times where I was like, I'm done with scouting, I'm out, and then I would like leave, and then like I would come back, and then like I'd take a little hiatus and then come back. But like my brother, so I was in scouting and it was Webelow, which is like Webelow.
Yeah,
that was
just between Cub and like Boy Scouts, right? Like
it's it's right before Boy Scouts. Yep, there's 2 years of Webelow. And then I crossed over into Boy Scouts, and then I did Boy Scouts for a while. So we had a couple different scoutmasters, but my main guy from Cub Scouts that transitioned over to Boy Scouts with us was Mr. Myers. And I got to give you a little backstory. Mr. Myers had 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls. Mr. Myers reminded me of like, how do I describe it? I want to say, okay, so no email, no phone, and
My
never
uncle.
owned. Yeah,
He's like my uncle.
never owned a cell phone, never owned an email. He had a house phone, and Mr. Myers lived just a couple streets away from us. Super analog guy, super quirky, just full of enthusiasm. Awesome guy. Would never drink energy drinks. He was always very like a health prone kind of guy, but he was like really cool and really just like down to earth. But he was the stay-at-home dad, and his wife was like the head of the post office for that area or something like where he lived. Like it was she was the breadwinner. But at the same time, Mr. Myers was so cool, so down to earth, because my folks had split up at a young age. But when I came into doing scouting, he was kind of like my father figure in an aspect. And there was times where I would have to bum a ride with Mr. Myers to go to scouts and come back, or my mom would drop me off one way and then go attend to my other siblings, or etc. So, scouting for me, I did Boy Scouts, and there was a time where I was so over scouting, I was like, that's it, I'm over, I'm done. But my mom was like, you got to do it. Like, trust me, like you're gonna want to have Eagle Scout someday. And I was like, all right.
Shout out mom, dude.
Shout out mom. And I went to a private Christian school in Huntington Beach, which is like a couple cities away, like the coastline. I mean, HB is a notorious huge surf town, but I went to a private Christian
pretty
school
aware
there.
of Huntington Beach.
Oh yeah. So went to a school there. Halfway through sophomore year of high school, I was just like, I'm over school. I want to be homeschooled. But that's when I stopped doing school, went back into scouting. And that's where I learned the life applicable skills of doing scouting and thriving with that element. And I ended up doing my Eagle Scout project for my old high school. I built, because I'm Scout motto is be prepared. Yep. Me being a guitar tech, I am always prepared. Whether if there's a guest that needs a pair of earplugs, if a guitar cable goes bad, I have another guitar cable to go through. Simple stuff. I mean, one of my crazy guitar tech stories is I was fired from a tour because I didn't have a lighter for a cigarette. Mind you, I don't smoke, but I always have a pack of Marlboro 100 Reds in my tech box, because you never know. Like it's just the little dumb things. But so I'm always prepared.
Crazy.
Oh, that's a whole other story itself. But I'm always prepared. And doing my Eagle Scout project, I built shelving units inside a shipping container to store all the school's emergency prep supplies.
Wow.
Student body was only 400 people. When I opened up this container, there was not even enough supplies for about 40. It was embarrassing. And the head of the emergency prep department of the school was my favorite teacher and my most hated teacher of all of school, from kindergarten from having my mom teach me being homeschooled. Dr. Colonel Reverend Bender.
That was that fool's name?
That was that fool's name. He was
Dr. Colonel Reverend Bender.
I mean, Dr. Bender was what we called him by, but he was a PhD in science. He was an Army colonel in Vietnam.
Oh.
And he was an ordained minister of a church. The most insane. I mean, I don't even know if he's still alive to this day. He was
probably the kind of guy that I would have considered a prick when I was a kid.
Oh, totally. And the best part, okay, so school grading system, you get an A, you get a B, you get a C. A is 90 to 90, 100, B is like 80. I got a 28 in his class. I got lower than an F.
Whoa.
I did not care, because the way he taught, I just couldn't connect with it. And he literally sat me.
That's a real thing, though.
He sat me down one day. He goes, "You are the worst student I've ever had in 20 years of teaching. You know that, right, Johnny?" And I was just like,
Wow.
"Yeah, and so, like, so be
What
it."
a jerk.
But he was a jerk. However, when I came back 2 years later, and I knew in the back of my head that he was the head of emergency prep, and I presented my Eagle Scout portfolio and sat at the same desk where he grilled me. I said, "Hey, Dr. Bender, nice to see you. It's been like a year and a half. I
Right.
have my Eagle Scout project." It was me, the principal of the school, and Dr. Bender. I said, "I want to do this project for Brethren Christian High School." And he's just like, "You just went from my most notorious student to my favorite student of all the time."
Man,
And
that's
it
crazy.
was the most insane thing. So I did my Eagle Scout project, and I got my border review. So basically, you have like a Scoutmaster conference. So like basically
Okay.
like a one-on-one, and then you have the border review, which is you have multiple people you sit in front of. You present your project. What did you learn in scouting? You know, what would you change in scouting? Like the final exit interview. And I did my Eagle border review 3 days before my 18th birthday,
Oh wow. Because
December
that's the
of
cutoff, right?
2011. That is the cutoff. Now the border review you can do up to 6 months after
Okay.
your 18th birthday because you have to schedule it and you have to have like the county person come in. It's a full
Right,
ordeal
right, right. No,
because
it's a big thing.
that's where they physically sign off and say like this is where you become an Eagle Scout. You've shown
Dude,
worthy,
not
and they can deny you. They can say no, we don't think you
right,
learned
right.
enough. You need to go back and do it. And then what? I have 3 days to go finish it. Like
Not
do or
everybody
die.
that sets out to become an Eagle Scout makes it. That's a very,
Oh,
very big deal.
2% of all Boy Scouts will become Eagle.
And
Yeah,
then that's crazy. I don't
yeah.
have as cool of a Boy Scout story as you, but I do have a couple of funny ones, dude.
Hit
Shout
me.
out to shout
I
out
got some funny ones too.
shout out to Brody who taught me how to kayak and fish and go out in the woods by myself and not be scared. That guy was awesome. He was like 19 when I was like a kid, and he was teaching everybody.
Sick.
That guy was dope. He taught me how to kayak. But I remember I was at Boy Scouts around a campfire when the Rockets won the championship in I think 93, 94.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
remember we listened to it around the fire, and one of my scoutmasters, who was cool, I don't remember his name, he had this walking stick that he had like his whole life, and he accidentally broke it celebrating the Rockets. Like it was yeah. But the funny story was this: me and my best friend Stuart, we were in Boy Scouts. It was like, dude, I had some really great friends. Man, I had people that I still talk to this day were people that I went to Boy Scouts with, and I was kicked out at like 13, bro. So the fact that I still know those guys is kind of crazy.
Absolutely.
But I was sharing a tent with my buddy Stuart, and they had told us, hey, we're going to go swimming in the mornings, and then we're going to go do some classes and some hiking. Put your swimsuits on the outside of your tent so they dry. You don't want them on the inside where it's going to be steamy and hot. That's going to have snakes and all kinds of crap.
Absolutely.
Bro, I was like 12. So I put I came back from polar bear swim, threw my swim trunks in the tent, threw on my shorts and my boots, and I took off running.
Right.
They're like, hey, man, it's midday, lunchtime. We went and ate lunch. Like, who wants to go back to the lake? I was like, I love swimming, bro. I want to go back to the lake. All right, go get your trunks on. We're going to go back. We'll be there in 10 minutes. I said, all right. I go inside, and I'm stark naked, dude. I'm standing inside this tent, and I put one foot in the swimsuit, and I put another foot in the air, and I look down, and in the crotch, in the crotch of my swimsuit is a scorpion. Bro, bro, I would have been a lady from that point forward. He would have taken my whole jank, bro.
Yeah,
I threw the swimsuit out the tent.
Yep.
Screamed like a little girl, cried like a little kid, and took off running naked through the. Somebody help! And then I couldn't sleep in the tent because I was terrified of scorpions.
Yeah,
man.
of course. Yeah.
But that is probably the funniest thing that ever happened in Boy Scouts. But dude, I had a lot of fun in Boy Scouts, and I also one of the biggest accomplishments of me when I was a kid was out of my entire troop, and I'm talking like 60 boys. Right. I was the first kid that said I wanted to try to swim a mile because we were kids. A mile is so far.
Dude, I did a mile swim. I got that patch, and man, it was insane.
I did the mile swim, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
The thing is when I did my mile swim, it was insane. But I was at this camp in, I think it might have been a different. I'm not sure. I might have the camps mixed up. because I know when I did my mile swim, I was 6,000 feet elevation. So not only,
I was in
yeah,
Texas somewhere.
yeah. So not only is it a mile swim, the air is thinner, and you're going laps in the pool and
So
gnarly.
on yours, did they tell you that if you touch the pool, you get to start over?
No.
So
Well, like,
ours was
if you touch, we would go. We couldn't put our hands on. We couldn't put our hands on, but we could turn around and kick off and then keep going. It was something. It was in like an Olympic size swimming pool.
We could do the kickoff, but if we touch the bottom,
or
the sides, we had to start over. They said, look, don't go fast, just go slow. And they said, and you need a break, roll over, close your eyes, and pedal on your back a little bit.
Yep.
And just get a little distance on your back for a minute, take a break, or just float there for a second. There's no time limit. Yep. And I was like, I think I was the first one to volunteer. We all started at the same time. I think there was like 5 or 6 of us that started, and I was the middle one. I finished in the middle. I was the first one to volunteer. We all started at the same time, and I was like the third to finish. When I finished it, I was so tired that I laid outside in the pool and got sunburned.
Oh! I mean, yeah, it was. I remember doing mine. I think it was like 2007 when I did mine, so I was like 7th grade. But
I was in the middle of the 90s.
Oh yeah, it was a lot to do because not only was I in the elevation, when I do the swim, and then I was just like, I remember I think I drank almost a gallon of water afterwards because my whole body was just like. No, dude, it was insane.
I ate an enormous amount of food and drank a lot of water that night. I remember sleeping like a baby though. I woke up, but everything hurt for like 2 weeks, man.
Easily.
It was horrible.
Moving every muscle in the body.
Okay, so I don't know that you actually answered whether or not you liked to.
Yeah, I know.
We totally like
we went way off.
Boy Scouts of America.
So being prepared is how I always am.
That's what we were talking about.
Yes.
Bro, I was like, how did we get on Boy Scouts?
So being prepared is always how I am. I haven't played on a tour since Spades and Blades supporting Fear Factory in 2016. Okay. It has been,
almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years. But when I'm playing, I'm just taking care of myself. Right. I'm not really worried about because I've never had a tech when I'm playing. Like I've had friends hand me bases and stuff like that at shows afterwards or after that. But teching is where the money's at because I'm paid. I'm an expense to the band be there. And then playing has always been like I got canned Chef Boyardee ravioli sitting for me in the van, and I'm gonna eat some food and make myself a sandwich afterwards. Like the grind is real. I love playing though, being on stage and being that element where like I get to thrive off the band. Or thrive off the crowd, and the crowd thrives off me. That's my all-time favorite. I still do play in a band occasionally here and there. Did some shows with Spades and Blades up until 2020. And then I played in a band called A Trigger Within. Played a couple shows at Whiskey A Go-Go in LA. It's a fun time. Like I like playing, but at the same time, I like teching more.
Okay.
My goal as a tech is to play in a band someday full time where I get to be on stage again. I get to bring a tech in. I get to teach a tech. I mean, I would totally teach someone what I do and take them on tour, taking care of me or taking care of a band I'm playing in.
You could probably do like some kind of like if you ever got to where you couldn't travel for some reason, you could probably do like tutorial classes that were like, hey, you want to learn
100%.
You'll get my approval and I'll give you a reference. That could be invaluable to somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. And I have a couple of friends that are guitar techs that do that kind of stuff. And
that's cool.
Teach master classes and whatnot. My homie Aaron, he's the stage left tech for Mudvayne, and he's got his own huge master class.
Bro, you know
builds
some
guitars.
Crazy people.
It's such a small world. It's so awesome, but at the same time, it's like it's a massive. Everyone knows everyone, and
right. Well,
even the bigger bands and the smaller bands. But yeah, I like teching.
Musicians are all friends, man. If you're in a band,
100%.
If you're traveling, people that are outside of your. I guess I'll call it a pay grade. Like people that are outside, both up and down. Like people outside of that, I would imagine
100%.
But the reason I asked is because you seem like you're really passionate about. I mean, you seem like you're just a fairly happy individual in general, but you seem
Absolutely.
really passionate about your career, and I think that's amazing because I know a lot of people that, while they're not unhappy necessarily, they don't seem like every day that I do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that knows me knows how stoked I am to talk to people. Like, I was excited to talk to you, and you're not even like a musician in a tour, like, you know what I'm saying, quote unquote,
Right.
like. You're a tech, and I'm like, oh, dude, that's cool. I'd love to talk to this guy about stuff I'd never heard of. Like, I don't know anything about teching. Like, that's awesome.
It's a whole new world, and I didn't really know much about it. But like, the thing is like, I was the one that was always building the rigs for my band when I was playing, the Spades and Blades rig, learning how to restring guitars and stuff. And now I've been able to hone in on doing that, and now I work for legendary bands. I would never. I mean, like, growing up, you see kids, at the skate park and going around town. It's like, oh, there's a Fiend school, there's a Danzig school, but like, that's my pay. Like, okay, so I had someone.
Those
ask
are like
me,
your homies at this point, right? Like, that's so dope.
I had someone ask me, maybe it was a year or two ago. It was right after I started working for Misfits. I was wearing my Misfits hoodie, and someone was like, name 3 songs. And I was just like, no. Here's the thing, though. No, here's the thing, though. When I started working for Misfits, I didn't know their catalog. I didn't really know, but like, I'm learning. And I literally just looked at this guy. I was like, dude, I'm on payroll. And that was I'm on payroll.
Dude, what did he say
that was
to you
my
about
3
that?
songs. And he's like, no, you're lying. I just pulled up my phone and I had the video, because with AC, with Misfits, every show we do a guitar throw. That's our thing. So at the end of the set, he's playing, he strums out the final chord, and he takes the guitar and he throws it at me, and I have to catch the guitar. That's just our thing we do. He's the one that got me to start doing guitar throws, and now it's my favorite thing to do. It's like, yes, I will absolutely catch the guitar. And I was on a tour. I forgot what city where it was, but it was like right after my first 2 Misfits shows, and someone's like, oh, name 3 songs. I was like, dude, I'm on payroll. And I showed up my phone, and then there's the photo of me in front of the cab wall catching a guitar.
Dude, that's so crazy, man. So, okay. I had like a couple of questions I was going to ask you earlier. We just started talking, and it was so easy to talk to you that we kind of never really got there. So,
hit me. Let's roll through them.
It's nothing crazy, but there's this like notion that Glenn Danzig is kind of a prick. I've never met him, but I've also heard some stories on both ends of that spectrum. How do you enjoy being around him? Is he cool to be around? I feel like if you're around him, he's probably cool, man. It's
taken a while to warm up. I will be honest. The first tour, I didn't really talk to him that much.
Sure. I was there kind of like it's kind of like a. I don't know if I want to bother him if you don't know him really well yet.
Yeah, but like now it's we'll sit down at rehearsals and be like, hey man, how you doing? You're the one that tours the most. Good to hear from you. Like, what tours you got going on? Like,
I'm so glad to hear that, bro.
Dude, like, he's a good guy, and he can be particular at times. When we're playing a show and he needs to hear something in his mix, and if it's not there, he's gonna be vocal about it, and that's fine.
In all fairness, look at what he's done for music. So I mean,
it's incredible, and the fact that I get to, not necessarily break bread, but like I get to be in that circle and travel and be around, and I get to be around one of the most notoriously iconic punk rockers in the history of punk rock since the late 70s until now.
Here's a weird one. Is he like low key funny at all by any chance?
Oh, he's hilarious.
I feel like those kind of guys that are always like really serious, if you get to break past the barrier of them being serious, that they're usually the kind of people that say like super like out of pocket funny stuff, and you're like, what?
Yep,
that's awesome. Awesome.
He's hilarious. He's a good hang. But when he comes in,
cool,
and
man.
he it's
work is work.
We need to make sure. Work is work, and he's a great guy. And I plan on doing every Misfits show until there's no more Misfits shows or Danzig shows to be had.
Dude, that's
and
so awesome.
Even though that they is not a full-time touring thing, we always headline, or if it's a festival, we're like, direct support. Like we're always high on the totem pole of the show. But I don't really have to worry about much, and I'm there to do my job, take care of my one guy.
Right.
Sometimes I gotta, do a little bit extra, whether I'm taking care of, a couple other things or whatnot.
Well, that's every job, though. No
that's
job
every
you
job.
got is going to be,
Yeah, but
that's
it's
so cool.
I wholeheartedly enjoy working for Danzig and the Misfits. Wholeheartedly enjoy the crew, and it's pretty much the same crew between both bands. Like
Oh, that's cool.
We alternate a little bit. There's a few different changes, but like it's a good time. It's a good time, and I enjoy it. So
I've known so many bands. Like whenever I was talking to Justin about talking to you, he said guitar tech, and I literally was like, "What's a guitar tech?" Like I didn't I didn't ask him that. I was just thinking it. I was like, "What's it?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess that's something that because I listen to primarily punk rock music, and most of the shows I go to are in smaller clubs. But I've been to plenty of bigger shows. I mean, I've been to some really. I mean, I've seen Metallica play. They have guitar techs, right? So I was just like, my first thought was like a guitar tech, and I was like, "Oh,
is that a guy?
Oh,
is that a guy that lives in an office and takes clients every now and then?"
No, it took me just a second to realize that he meant like the guys that were like do the guitar tuning, prep guys. Just you're like almost like an assistant to one dude.
It's exactly like it's an assistant.
You're there to help prop them up and make their night easier and make the fans' experience more enjoyable by making their night an easier. Because, dude, how much do they have to worry about being on stage? Plenty. So if they can have somebody that they're paying to help them just have it an easier, smoother, work day, that's ultimately the goal.
Yeah, and if someone
great job, dude. That's an
if someone spills a beer, if someone throws a tomato, I'm that first responder basically on stage to assist in whatever comes up. Break a string. Someone spills water, like it's just, you never know. So it's cool because like tying back into Boy Scouts, another field career. Another field career thing I wanted to do is go into search and rescue, like being a field EMT, that kind of stuff. I never really got into the medical training, but I know the basics. Okay. But at the same time, I'm prepared for situations that come up in the heavy metal punk rock world, where on stage, if there's an emergency that's going to happen, I am that dude that is watching on site. Now there's some guys that are like, I'm going to party and hang out a good time. Like, when the minute I wake up in the morning to the minute the show's done, I'm usually the first in and the last out. I mean, it depends. Like, there's the bigger the shows, they have more lighting, they have more production, but like majority of the shows I do, I'm there when the stage is empty. We set up, we do the show, and when the show is done, everyone goes home. I'm still working to pack up and make sure that everything gets in the truck, nothing goes missing. The real core essentials of providing the show. So
it's like if I was talking to somebody and they said, "Hey man, you got these two guys that could go out." And let's say that I was going to have somebody come work at my shop for me and then help me edit videos, right? No, that's not going to work because it wouldn't matter if we wouldn't be in person that much. If I was in a touring band and they had said, "Hey, I got two guys that I want to introduce you to, and you need it because I needed a tech, right, or whatever, anybody on my crew," and they were like, "This guy's this guy, this guy's this guy." You were almost exactly the same, but one was like an Eagle Scout, dude. The amount of like benefits that they've got from the knowledge that you've got is honestly, you can't really buy that outside of paying you to work for them.
Yeah,
that's dope, bro.
It's pretty wild,
man. Dude, what a crazy world! What a insane world!
It's awesome.
So, man, that flew by quick. That was a lot longer than I thought. I looked up at the time and I was like, "Whoa!" So, I'm gonna wrap up here in a minute. Totally. Before I do. What are some of your favorite bands that maybe you haven't really mentioned or anything that you'd like people to listen to? Like, it could be big acts, it could be small acts, whatever. What are some of your favorite bands that you listen to on a regular basis right now?
All right. My all-time favorite band, the band that got me into heavy metal, we touched up or mentioned this very early on, Demon Hunter. They are the perfect definition between heavy and melodic soft. Like
Okay.
they've been around for over 20 years now. I've only seen them. I've only seen them 3 times in my life. And Demon Hunter is just that band that was the gateway band for me. They got 11 studio records now,
That's a
a
lot.
live record. It's a lot, but Demon Hunter is an incredible band. My favorite record of theirs is Storm the Gates of Hell and the Triptych. They came out in 05 and 07. Or Flip Flop Triptych came first. But yeah, those are some of my favorite records. Rise Against will always be a favorite band of mine. Actually, it's crazy. My very first show with Misfits, I got to meet Joe, the bass player from Rise Against.
That's cool.
He came and watched Bad Religion as Bad Religion was opening up for Misfits on our stage. And it was so sick. I mean, we're homies on Instagram. You know, shout out Joe. He actually hit me up the other day. He asked me a question on a pedal modeler thing, and
wow,
you know, it's just like that's one of my heroes of playing bass, and you know, my love for punk rock.
That's so cool, man.
As far as other bands, I really enjoy. Oh gosh, I'm pondering. There's just so many to choose from. I'd say Amberlin is one of my favorite bands.
Dude, what kind of music is that?
It's more like post-hardcore rock alternative.
Okay.
They were a Christian band, but they're more like, I mean, they're not really a Christian band. They're like, I mean, like they have like Christian radio play. But they're kind of in between. But Amberlin's a favorite band of mine. And then a really weird, wacky band I have fallen in love with. I don't even know if you've ever heard of this band. I got to see one of their very first shows live. Is a band called Clowncore. It is, okay, hear me out. It is the most insane project.
Clown Posse?
Ever.
Oh, okay.
No, not ICP.
No, I know. I was just being stupid.
But Clowncore. It is 2 jazz musicians.
Okay.
They're so incredibly talented, but just the realm and the absurdity of the band is so comical to see. It's one of those like dumb YouTube bands. It's just like you would not expect it to happen. But
so is it jazz music?
It's jazz, death metal, and just every like weird. There's no way to describe it. It's like it's got elements of EDM. It's got elements of funk and pop. It's got blast beats. It's got a saxophone. It's just chaos. It's chaos.
Chaos is what I was thinking.
Chaos. So 2 dudes, they set up so basically their first video I ever saw when I was just like, the fuck is this? They set up in a porta potty and they film GoPros in an XL porta potty, drum kit, keyboard, saxophone. It's just it's unhinged. It's just absolute chaos of audio. Anyways, I got to go see them play live. Okay. They sold out 4 nights in a row in LA at 750 capacity in a weird upstairs loft jazz club. It's just so weird, but it's one of those bands where it's like they have a Clowncore. They have a YouTube. They have an EP. They have 2 EPs out. Okay. Or they might have more, but they have 2 EPs. But they have it's the EP where every song is a music video, so it's a visual album. Okay. One is called Toilet, which is the porta potty where they all set up and they recorded this. The other one is called Van, and they are literally sitting in a van, driving. One guy's driving, one guy's passenger seat, one guy's in the back. Drum kit in a van, keyboards, saxophone. It's just it's unhinged, is what it is. But it's
so what draws you to it?
Oh, it's just chaos. It's just
okay.
It's just awesome.
Is it okay if I was to put it on? Is it a really difficult listen, or would I be able to like get through it once and be like, okay, that was cool, and then move on, or is it something?
Watch the music video before listening to the music, because you have the visuals that go with it. Sure. With the absurdity of the music, that it's just I watched it. I was just like, these guys are so insane, but so genius. Here's the funny
That's
part.
pretty cool.
Here's the funny part. When they go play shows, they announce where they're going to go play.
Okay.
But their most recent shows, they didn't announce it. And they just showed up on the flyer for Coachella.
Oh, wow.
They played Coachella and didn't even announce that they were playing Coachella. It's just
Man, you don't have to
we're
announce
playing Coachella.
I mean, you don't have to announce that. You just show up and play because that's going to be a lot of people. Although, as a fan, you might be a little pissed that they didn't announce it because you didn't get to go see them. If that's what you would go to Coachella for.
Oh, I would never go to Coachella to go see them. Never. I worked Coachella. I worked Coachella this last year for one show or one artist on the second weekend, and like I've done festivals before, but like sure it was bougie, but like it was not what I really wanted. So, but
no, I've heard it just seems like a crowd that I'm not interested in being around.
Oh, I walked around Gen Pop and I was like, me, all black, Carhartt shirt, radio vest on. I was just like, man, I do not fit in here. What is up?
Yeah, it's more like Kim Kardashian types than it is like us, people like us.
1,000%. And me, long hair, bearded, over 6 feet tall, scary looking dude rolling through. Like I did not fit in.
Yeah, man, that's wild.
But yeah, Clowncore is definitely one of those bands that if you've never heard of. They're just so unhinged.
I'm gonna look into them in a few minutes. I got to see what this is all about. That's for sure.
And then Demon Hunter is the band that got me into music. I love Rise Against. I love Amberlin, and I love Spades and Blades and Havoc. Well, those are two bands I listen to, even though I played in Spades and Blades. And the Havoc is my old bandmates. Like
dude, I
listen to those records often. Shout out Justin. Shout out Jason. Shout out everyone. Basically, everyone from Spades and Blades went back to Havoc, and then they just got a different bass player and a different guitar player, or the original guitar player back.
Did Justin tell you I'm putting out tapes for Havoc?
No, he mentioned tapes. I didn't know you were putting them out though. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like actually just waiting on them now. They're on their way.
Awesome.
They're in production, so I should have them in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I just picked up a vinyl record of theirs, so I'm adding it to my vinyl collection.
Yeah, dude, I love that band so much. I was so like honored when he hit me up. I was like, "Yo, what?" I was like, "Yes, I'll do that, bro."
Yeah,
I love that band.
I got to Guitar Tech their very first show back, and there was a live music video shoot.
That's awesome.
They did 01, 06, and then they did a couple shows in like I think it was like 2012 or 2013, something. Like they did like an anniversary show at Glass House, which is a venue out here in Pomona. And then they came back in 2020, 21. So
yeah, that new album is it's just like so good. Yeah. It's good.
And the tuning that they play in is the same tuning that Misfits play in, and it's the same tuning that Rise Against play in. So it's like all like familiar territory of like the sounds.
So what tuning is it in?
So standard tuning, you just take a half step down. So it's technically D sharp.
Oh man, see, I don't know any of the technical terms. That's awesome that you just know that kind of stuff. Like
I gotta memorize it all for on the fly.
Right. my musical knowledge on that kind of stuff is very, very limited. Like I can barely tune a guitar. I can tune one, but it takes me a while.
But it takes a while. I mean, it's taken me when I have my tech box set up, I actually run two tuners simultaneously because I've made the mistake of only having one tuner and I hit the wrong button and it decalibrates. And I give the guitar out to the artist, and it's the wrong tuning. So you always got to have checks and balances. But one tuner goes to 1/100th accuracy, and the other is 1/1000th. So especially with like the Floyd Rose whammy bars, I got to see when the guitar is in tune. Like I got to see which way the string is bending, sharp or flat. And it's just crazy. It's over time. You get more and more familiar with it, But yeah, the tuning is everything and part of my job. So I probably have a collective of over $1,000 of just tuner pedals from over the years of having. So
I saw a video of a guitar that tunes itself the other day, and that blew my mind.
Those do exist.
I feel like they wouldn't work that well.
I'm not gonna trust it. I'd rather have someone.
Like, it might work, but I wouldn't trust that it would sound very good.
Right, but also the other thing too is every player is different, Like when I'm teching Tommy
Right.
from Danzig, compared to when I'm teching AC, compared to when I'm teching Meigs for Cold Chamber, everyone has different gauges of strings. There's different tunings, different tensions, and everyone's picking hand is different compared to one another. So I need to figure out and note and learn how heavy are they hitting the string. Are they hitting it lighter? Are they hitting it heavier? There's
a lot of variance in that stuff.
A lot of variance, absolutely. So, but yeah, no, what was I gonna say? The guitars that tune themselves, they're cool, not really cool. The guitars I really don't like the most, I will be very honest, is the headless guitars. I did a whole year of touring with headless guitars. Now,
it just seems pretentious to me. It looks ridiculous.
Some of them can be works of art. They're really nicely made.
Sure.
But like when I'm playing and I go hit, the end of the note, like I'm ready to know where the first fret is, like my hand will just fly off. And I've done it before. It's not a fan. But the headless guitars, there's little tiny screws that hold in the guitars and the strings at the top.
Okay.
And I've stripped a lot of them. I've broken a lot of the headstock pieces. So those are not my favorite instruments. The favorite instruments to work on.
That would suck. What's your favorite guitar?
Well, actually, my favorite guitar that I have, I'm actually looking at it right now. I have an endorsement that I got with ESP through Spades and Blades. And let me grab this for you right fast. This is my favorite guitar right here. A friend of mine I was on a tour with had one of these, and it is a Hawaiian Koa 7-string. And I bought this one for Spades and Blades back of the day. But it's really like I love the wood shaped guitar or the wood tone guitars. And I think it was like back in January.
That thing is pretty, man.
Dude, it's sick. I scored on this one particularly because they'd only made these for a short while.
Okay.
But I scored a second one, identical.
Oh, damn.
And I drove out to like Palm Springs area and
just freaking sweet.
But I got two of them. So now
that's what I'm saying. It's awesome. Just badass.
Me being a guitar tech, I'm always prepared. Even if I'm going to go play guitar again for a band someday, I got to have a main and a backup. So
right. That's cool. It's the same guitar because now it's like a comfortability in that knowing that if something happens, you have a backup of the same exact feeling, the same exact
exactly.
From the action of the strings, how far they were from the fret, board.
Right, it's the same exact guitar that's going to sound the same.
And that's
it's
awesome.
Just got all the bells and whistles. But that's my favorite guitar. I have a couple different bass guitars that are up in my loft and my shelf. The basses I played with Spades and Blades were all Fender jazz basses.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And some of those are much older than. I don't think I'd ever take those out again on tour, but I'm always going to keep them because of my pride and joy.
Sure.
But yeah, I got a deal with ESP in 2018. I think is when I got it, and I've always collected ESP guitars and basses, and that's just the company I rep. And
that's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's cool. So that's my favorite guitar, the one I pulled out. And then I got a couple other basses. Some I've like relicked and like modded myself.
That's cool.
I always like beat up instruments because the joke.
You don't have to be so careful with them.
Exactly. Like I have the nice ones, but like the most I've ever paid for a guitar is $1,200. Like ever. And like the one I have that I paid $1,200 for is worth thousands of dollars. Like it's
oh wow.
It's a prototype 101, but like,
oh shit.
I got it from one of my artists and it got handed down to me, and it's like, yeah, that's the one I'm gonna play and cherish.
That's pretty freaking cool.
But I throw bass, I don't play bass. That's the joke. So I want a guitar that I can not worry about scratching or beating up, and enjoy that element of actually playing the guitar. So but
I was never that good at playing guitar, but I liked it.
I'm still not very good at playing guitar. I guitar tech. I prep the guys that are good at playing guitar.
That's a good point, though, man. Most of those guys are pretty excellent musicians. I mean, not to say most of them, all of them. Everybody you've mentioned.
Absolutely.
My favorite guitar used to be a Gretsch hollow body until I held one, and then I was like, oh man, these are far too big, like far too big. And then I got an Ibanez like thin hollow body, and I was like, oh, here we go. And
Yeah,
I wrote my whole EP on one of those, and I was like, yeah, this is playing that thing was just it was easy. Like for me. I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'8", man. I've got regular size hands for a 5'8" guy, and so like playing sometimes it gets really difficult. Stretching your hands really far, and that Ibanez just felt right, man. The neck was real thin, and like, oh, dude, it was just. I have a Tim Armstrong signature acoustic that I play a little bit, but I've got really bad carpal tunnel now, so I can't play very often. Yeah, it is what it is.
Speaking of hollow body guitars, I got one more to show you right fast.
Let's go.
Last summer, in between rehearsals, I had my other guitar tech here from Coal Chamber, who also lives in Houston. He lives out in the Spring area. Yeah. But
that's dope, dude.
This is my hollow body.
Ooh.
And this is an ESP LTD. And nice. I picked this up at a pawn shop for like $200. And I was like, I walked in, I was not expecting to buy a guitar, but the guy was like, he's like, yeah, if you put $50 down and I'll put it on a layaway. And I was like, you know what? Bet I will. And
you can pay back from $200 pretty quick.
Oh yeah, it was $250, but like it's got a big old chunk in the back of it, right there.
Oh,
but at the same time, you can't tell. And it's a black guitar, and it's got the hollow body, and I'm gonna do a little bit of modding on it, but like because of Spades and Blades was all 7-string lower tunings on guitars. I have a couple of 6 strings, but like I wanted a 6-string that would like not really be a metal guitar. It'd be more like a rock guitar. And
that's what you got right there.
And it's exactly what I got. And I'm excited to give it some love and make it happen. But yeah, this is my only hollow body that I have.
I'm still pretty up on here.
Yeah, I'm stoked on it.
Missing out of it. I kind of like the chunk missing out of it because then you don't have to be as careful. You can put stickers on it, you can draw on it, and do whatever you want.
Exactly the plan. So I don't know if I'll put stickers on it, but I sticker up a lot of my road cases. Here, I'll show you right fast if I can.
I'm a sticker nut, dude. I love stickers, bro.
Well, here's my work box filled with stickers.
That's a badass work box full of stickers too. Shit.
Yeah, I got a theme skull. I got a couple places to go eat.
Let's get a Bucky sticker, bro. Let's go.
Bucky's, yep.
Texas right there,
dude. I actually the Bucky's I've been going to the most lately is in the Daytona Beach, Florida one.
Dude, they are in Florida, huh?
Yeah, they only got 2 out there, but
okay.
I've been out there a couple times, visiting a friend of mine, and yeah, we go for a night drive to Bucky's. It's only an hour away from Orlando, and
hell yeah,
it's totally so sick. So,
dude,
but I love
this
stickers.
Giant, ridiculous place, and I love it, dude.
It's incredible. It's like Walmart meets Costco meets a truck stop.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we've hit the 2-hour mark. I got to get out of here and go do some other things this afternoon, because it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
Dude, likewise. It's been an absolute blast.
Dude, I wouldn't mind jumping back on here with you again in the future if you got the time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, sometime later this year. We'll absolutely make it happen.
Absolutely, dude. What kind of tours you got coming up? Anything that you could have some stories or anything?
Well, I'm heading out on Wednesday to go do 6 shows with the Amity Affliction. Okay. They're an Australian band. I just got hit up to go fill in for a tech, and I was like, you know what?
My mother-in-law and sister-in-law live in Australia.
Really? What part?
I don't even know.
Okay.
I've only met my sister-in-law like 3 times. She's real sweet.
I love it out there. I've been 3 times now. It's just every time is awesome. I went in February of this year.
That's pretty rad.
And then so I'm doing Amity Affliction tour. It starts I fly to Chicago and I do like Chicago, Midwest. We do a Fort Worth show, and then we end in LA. And then from the LA show, I go direct into the No Values Festival, which is Misfits. I think I have that flyer right around here. I may not. Nope, I don't. It's Misfits, Social D, Iggy Pop.
No Values tour is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's just a one day thing. But
fast at tournament festival.
Yeah, fast. But it's Glenn Danzig has been wanting to do his own festival with the Misfits for a while, because there hasn't been a Misfits show in California for ages now.
That's so crazy.
I think the last Misfits show in California was 2019. So it's been a minute. But yeah, so we're doing that. And then I have Coal Chamber with Fear Factory in August through October. That's the
Oh,
only
that's
thing I have.
cool.
The only thing I have lined up for the rest of the year. Maybe a couple Misfits shows, maybe a couple Danzig shows here, there, in between. We'll find out. But yeah, I'm excited to do some stuff. It's not really going to be a busy year of touring, but it's going to be a consistent year. And then
That's what's up.
if something comes up, I'm going to jump the gun and take the offer because
What do you do
half power.
outside of
What I do?
technically? Is there anything you do outside of that?
Well, in my studio right now, I have guitar work I do for a couple clients. It's all really just word of mouth.
Sure, sure.
I have maybe a collective of like 15 clients or so, but like they'll just hit me up, be like, "Hey, I need guitar work done." They show up, they bring me their guitar, I work
That's
on it,
cool.
that stuff.
That's awesome. Everything you're doing is kind of revolved around the same love of
Yep,
music and guitars.
yep. I have a handful of gear I'll rent out for like productions and stuff. So I store that here because my studio is also part storage, part rehearsal. But other than that, it's not really a whole lot going on. Sometimes I'll work at Dead and Buried with Justin and the Spades and Blades guys, Havoc guys. Um, but like, yeah, pretty much when I'm home, I'm resting, I'm relaxing, I'm enjoying, a little bit of work here and there. But then when I go on tour, that's where I'm really diving into doing the bread and butter. Um, Outside of touring, though, I don't really know what's next. If I mean, how long I'm going to keep touring. My tour manager for Cold Chamber Devil Driver is like, "You're going to tour forever." And it's like, yeah, I probably will, but like, whether if something else comes up, you never know. But yeah, I enjoy what I do, and I love it. So
That's amazing.
I thrive in this element. So
Well, man, I really appreciate your time this afternoon, dude. It's been
yeah,
a
it's been an
lot of fun
absolute
talking with you.
blast.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So I will keep in touch if you don't mind. Throw me a mailing address, and I'll send you some Havoc,
sure,
a couple of Havoc tapes when they drop, and maybe
dude,
some other stuff
that'd be
that I put
awesome.
out. Yeah, and
Awesome. Yeah, I'll send you my mailing address right now. So,
cool, man. Well, keep in
sick.
touch, and if there's anything I can do to help you with anything, just reach out. Let me know.
Legend.
Otherwise, we will
Absolutely.
talk soon, man. Thank you so much. Hey, guys,
Yeah.
dude, is there anybody you want to shout out? Any kind of links that you need put up in the stuff to shoot me, man? Is there anybody you want to
Uh,
shout out there? Obviously, Misfits and Danzig. We don't really
dude,
need to shout them out.
Misfits Danzig. I mean, AC Sled and Tommy Prong, my two guys
They're
from
so
Misfits and
dope.
Danzig. Meigs from Cold Chamber. Dr. Evil, Eddie Ortel, my tour manager from Cold Chamber and Devil Driver. Shout out my mom.
Let's go. Shout out,
Yeah,
mom, bro.
shout out my mom. Shout out Mr. Myers, my old scoutmaster
Hell
from the
yeah.
Boy Scouts. Um, Shout out Justin Havoc, dude. I
Yeah,
mean, like, I wouldn't,
bro.
I wouldn't be who I am today, doing what I do, if it weren't for Justin from Spades and Blades, the Havoc, inviting me in, bringing me a part of that family. Like, that dude is he's always got my back, and he's the reason why he's connected to the two of us. But like,
Right,
just
right. Dude, he's
he's
such a nice person, man. I really appreciate that guy.
quality, yeah. So, but other than that, not anything else I can really think of. I mean, like, I got
Hey,
Glenn Danzig. Shout out Glenn
ooh,
Danzig.
shout out Glenn Danzig, man. That's awesome, dude. Well, everybody that's on here watching this, thank you for your time. If you're listening to it on
Absolutely.
Spotify, I appreciate it, man. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment. You got questions or whatever, man. You got ideas for shows, let me know. All right,
Sick.
John. Thank you, brother. Have a great day, man. I'll talk soon,
Absolutely.
bro.
You too, brother. Catch you later.
Later, man.